Well, good morning and welcome to CaDI Live, the Carbon Database Initiative. I'm John Buckley, I'm the Managing Director of Carbon Footprint Limited and delighted to be hosting you today. For those of you who are new to Carbon Footprint Limited, we're a carbon management business based in the UK, serving customers all over the world. We've been helping businesses now for about 20 years to help them understand and reduce their climate impact. And have a strong focus on helping organisations setting and achieving their net zero goals and targets. CaDI is part of a new suite of online platforms that we've been developing over the last few years, all of which are free to access to help you on your net zero journey. The reason we're making these free is to try and remove any barriers organisations may have in starting their net zero path. We have a fantastic session planned this morning. We'll be showing you some of the key features of CaDI and how you can use it to help you with your carbon reporting. For those already using CaDI, I think you'll be excited to see some of the new elements that we've recently added. I'd like to introduce you to Dom Durkin and Liv Hollis, both of who are environmental consultants at Carbon Footprint Limited and experts in carbon reporting.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. So this is just an overview of what this session will contain. So we're going to start by explaining what the Carbon Database Initiative is. We will then run through the free emission factor databases we have on the platform. Each of these databases are extremely valuable resource in calculating emissions from sources which are likely very material to your footprint. We will then discuss the importance of disclosing your emissions and the easy ways you can upload your results onto CaDI. We will then finish off by discussing what the future of CaDI will look like. We would really appreciate any feedback that you have on the platform, and if you have any specific requests of things you'd like to see on CaDI, then please let us know. So firstly, what is the Carbon Database Initiative? So CaDI is a global, free-to-use and free-to-disclose platform. On this platform, you'll find company and product carbon footprints, net zero declarations, and emission factors. We want CaDI to be the one-stop shop for greenhouse gas emissions reporting and disclosures. CaDI was created as at Carbon Footprint, we believe company greenhouse gas emissions data should never be hidden behind a paywall, that this information should always be publicly available and free to view. Company disclosures on the platform predominantly includes those from our own clients, where we have assessed or verified their emission inventories. These particular disclosures receive our verified stamp. However, a significant number of disclosures have been created by external companies who we don't work with, of whom have conducted emissions assessment themselves and wish to disclose their results also. So we'll just have a quick look at the poll results so far. Cool. Yeah, so you can still vote now if you wish. We can get some more results. So how much have you used CaDI so far? So the majority of people haven't used it at all. So hopefully this will give you a good overview of what the platform is, and hopefully we can get you signed up. You can see if it works for you. What do you currently use CaDI for? So the majority of people are using it for the international electricity emission factors. This, as expected, is obviously electricity consumption is a very material aspect of a lot of people's carbon footprints. What are you wanting to learn most about during this session? So majority of people are wanting to know how to navigate the platform. So we're going to be doing a lot of demos in the session. So hopefully you can familiarize yourself with it and then you can have a go yourself. And then we also wanted to know what kind of databases you're already using for emission factors. So you'll find that the databases you're using, we have emission factors on CaDI from these databases. So everything is all in one place for you. So it should be really super easy to calculate your emissions yourselves. So Dom will now do a run through of the different emission factor databases we have on the website and how these can help you.
So currently on CaDI, we have 3 types of emission factors. And these are international electricity factors, products and materials factors, and also spend factors. Each of these will aid you in calculating your footprint, and they are the factors that we use within our carbon management platform, Sustrax. Here on screen now, you can see a selection of the sources that have been used to generate the electricity factors that we use and also that we have assimilated to create the products and materials and spend factor databases. For any carbon footprint assessment, usually there is one emission source that you can guarantee will be present, and these are the emissions associated with electricity. At Carbon Footprint, we're really proud to share our annually calculated international electricity factors for completely free. The factors are calculated using our disclose methodology available on the CaDI website. And once you've created an account, you can access all of the 245 countries we have dating back to 2019. So I'll now give you a demo of how you can navigate the CaDI web pages to find the factors of your choosing. So once you have navigated to the CaDI home screen, you can simply navigate to the emissions factors section and click on country electricity factors. You can then search for the country of your choice. So for example, we could search for Denmark and we can look at the factors related to Denmark. So here you can see that the factors we have available are generation, transmission and distribution, well to tank of transmission and distribution, and also residual mix. And each of these will assist you in calculating your location-based and market-based footprints in the absence of supplier-specific emissions. In addition, if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the development of the fuel mix over the last 20 years for each country, and also the emissions associated with each of the fuel sources for electricity generation. In addition to the country factors, we also have state factors for the US, Canada, and Australia. So to find these, simply search for, again, the country of your choosing and view the emission factor details. You'll see a similar layout as displayed previously. However, if you scroll to the bottom this time, there are each of the states available for the countries I mentioned previously. So if you click on them, again, you'll see a similar layout, and you can see again the energy statistics for those states. We also are currently developing a database for tariff-specific emissions. This is currently available for the United Kingdom. So if I search for the United Kingdom and view this in a similar location to where you could find the state-specific factors, you can find here all of the records we have for the fuel mixes for tariff-specific emissions. So here you can see what tariff it is and also the emissions related to that tariff. We are planning on developing this further and also looking to bring this to other countries additionally. Next, we have our products and materials database. So again, navigating on the emissions factors ribbon, you can click here and you can search for anything that you might have in your assessment. So whether you're looking for building materials, food items, or technology, we'd recommend checking this out before using any spend-based calculations. And this will assist you in your scope 3 categories 1 and 2 calculations. So for example, I could search for, if I had an event, I was calculating events footprint and there was beef being served and I wanted to look at the embodied emissions of beef. I could then search for it and look at the associated embodied emissions. Again, I can also see here the database source where this factor was attained from. Similarly, I could also search for specific brands like Lenovo, and I can see some of the embodied emissions related to a specific Lenovo laptop here. We are planning to allow organizations to upload their own embodied emissions of their products. This will allow for suppliers to be transparent about the embodied emissions of their products, whilst also allowing scope 3 calculations for other organizations to become more accurate. If your organization manufactures a product or material and you would like assistance in calculating this, then please do get in touch with us and we'd be very happy to help. The final factor that we're going to explore are spend factors. So again, navigating to the ribbon, you can search for an industry, a code, or a code type, or even a keyword associated with an industry. So for example, I can search for transport and I can then filter by country additionally. So I can search for transport in the United States, and then here I can see all of the factors related to transport for the United States. And then again, I can click and I can see the 2 most recent conversion factors for that particular sector, and it tells you the code type name and also the source. So we have 2017 NAICS code, and the source was the EPA. Included in this database, we have factors from DEFRA, the EPA, and XEO base, resulting in spend factors for the globe's top 44 countries by GDP. So I'll now hand back over to Liv.
Thanks, Tom. So if you don't already calculate your emissions and you would like to do so you can publish them on CaDi, we recommend using our Sustrax system, which is our carbon footprint measurement platform. So Sustrax offers a user-friendly online platform to accurately measure your emissions and view them in real time on a monthly basis. Sustrax enables you to assess your emissions in line with various compliance pathways, such as SCCR and PPN 0621. You can also pop your targets into Sustrax and you can track your progress on an annual basis. If you would like to arrange a demo of the Sustrax platform with us, please contact either myself or Dom, and we'd be happy to do a personal run through with you. On the other hand, if you calculate your emissions yourself and have uploaded these, if you would like us to verify these so you can receive our verified stamp, we are also happy to do this. Again, just get in contact with us and we can discuss the process with you. So why should you disclose your emissions? So the benefits of disclosing your greenhouse gas emissions on CaDi are as follows. So CaDi is a great transparency tool and allows you to be honest about the emissions your company produces and its progress towards its net zero targets. CaDi allows your company to prove its commitment to carbon management and achieving net zero. This is particularly helpful in increasing stakeholder confidence and investor confidence in your business's sustainability practices. The CaDi platform also allows you to compare your results with others. You can see how others are tackling their emissions in your sector or industry, and you can potentially get inspiration from them when tackling your own emissions. And the disclosure of emissions also improves the accuracy of Scope 3 supply chain assessments. The more companies that disclose their emissions, the more likely you can find supplier-specific emissions data for use in your assessments, as opposed to using spend data. Finally, once you have published on the platform, you will receive the on CaDi branding. You can put this on your website, any marketing materials, and this further proves your commitment to carbon management and achieving net zero. So how can you disclose your emissions on CaDi in order to receive all these benefits? So there's 3 ways to get your results onto CaDi. So the first way, if you are a Carbon Footprint Limited client and have completed an assessment with us, we can publish your results for you on your behalf. So following your assessment, we will have a meeting with you, we'll have a discussion about CaDi and how it will benefit you. After an assessment, your results will automatically be preloaded onto CaDi, but we won't publish these and make these live until you give us permission to do so. Secondly, all versions of our Sustrax Lite, so our carbon footprint measurement platform, are linked with CaDi. So once you have inputted all your activity data, you can go to the analysis page, look at your results, and once you hit publish, your results are on CaDi. So with one push of a button, you have disclosed your emissions as well as reporting them. And finally, the more manual way. So if you have an account with CaDi, or if you create an account, once you're all logged in, you can go to add new carbon disclosure, and you can add a carbon disclosure for a 12-month period. Your uploaded data will not be viewable by others until you hit publish. So Dom is now going to give a short demonstration of how to do this.
Thanks, Liv. So once you have signed up for CaDi and you have created your free account, you will be able to navigate to the Your Disclosure page. You can then scroll down and you can select this option here to add a new carbon disclosure. You can then type in your carbon disclosure name. So for example, the year of your assessment, followed by the start of the reporting period and the end of the reporting period. You can then enter all of the associated emissions with your assessment and also any CO2 offset. You can then also select which Scope 3 categories have been included in your assessment. Additionally, you can also include employee count and turnover, and essentially this will allow you to measure your emissions on a per metric basis to account for growth. This will also help in benchmarking against other companies in the same sector as you can compare based on your turnover. Additionally, we also have a statement/commentary box, and this will allow you to give some context behind your emissions, whether they are growing or whether they're falling, and what you've done to tackle those emissions during the last assessment period. You can then click submit, but this won't make your emissions public immediately. This will simply take you to the section of your page where it will say that here are the carbon disclosures that have not yet been published, and you can simply select a button to publish these. Once you've done that, it will then appear in your publish list, and these are what will appear on the CaDI website, and these are the graphs that will appear for your company. If you wish to display this on your website, then we also have an option for that. So you can embed the public disclosure page for your company onto your website simply by requesting the iframe code here, and this will essentially send an email to your account giving you the code, which you can then use to display your emissions on your website. For example, on our own website, if we click on our sustainability and we click on our on CaDI branding, we then display here our CaDI disclosure page where you can see our emissions and also our commentary regarding the trends in our emissions. So as I mentioned before, once you click that button, you will receive an email with the code, and this is a demonstration of what that code looks like. And this is simple to upload into your website HTML, and it's as simple as uploading a YouTube video or something of that nature. Additionally, we are currently creating CaDI passports. These will essentially be an automatically generated QR code, which will appear on your company page. And this is essentially a mock-up here showing how you can engage your clients with your emissions disclosure. So you can provide evidence to your clients at the point of use. So you can use this on your products or your advertising, for example. Additionally, we also would like to extend this to the products database so that you can provide, again, at the point of use, what your emissions are and people can see your claims for themselves. And finally, we're going to talk about the future of CaDI. CaDI is developing on a rapid basis, and we have quite a few things that we are planning on implementing in the next few months. So some of these things are supply chain analysis to get more accurate Scope 3 calculations from your suppliers, CaDI passports, as I previously described, estimated emissions for companies not on the CaDI system, a benchmarking tool to be able to easily compare your business with businesses in the same sector as you, and also sector-specific metrics such as hotel stay factors and also airline sustainability status, so you can pick the most sustainable airlines for your business travel. And finally, we have a Q&A session. So if you do have any questions, please do pop them in the chat and we can answer those for you now.
We do have a few questions, I think mainly surrounding the emission factors. So Marco asks, can you explain why every source of electricity factors have different values and different methodologies? So why is our methodology better? So why are the factors that we use credible?
Do you want me to pick up on this one?
Yeah, do you want to go for that, John?
Yeah, happy to do that. So it's hard to sort of explain other emissions factors that are out there, but I can sort of explain the methodology briefly behind the ones that we've developed. So our methodology starts with the fuel mix that's being used across each country, and that data's easily available. So what we do is from the fuel mixes, we can use the UK government DEFRA emissions factors to work out the carbon emissions based on the individual fuels that are used on each electricity grid. We do include all greenhouse gases, so it's not just grams of CO2 like AIB produce. We also account for the efficiencies or inefficiencies of power stations, the various power stations, and we get that sort of data from IEA, International Energy Authority. And then, we calculate that through to give you the overall emissions factors, and we can do that for the different parts of the emissions, like Dom mentioned earlier, whether it's the generation, transmission, distribution, wells, tank, etc. So yeah, ours includes the all the greenhouse gases. So we did use AIB for quite a while actually, but obviously there's a limitation with that, with it just being grams of CO2 and most people wanting to measure it in grams of CO2e. In terms of how accurate they are, we do compare ours to other sources, and we know, for instance, if you compare our UK, the emissions that we calculate for the UK come out to be within about 0.1% of what the UK government produce. So we're fairly happy and convinced that our methodology is good. But we don't obviously see the methodologies that some other organisations use. So I hope that helps answer the question a little bit. But there's more details on our methodology, like Dom said earlier, on the CaDI website.
Cool. And then, so another question surrounding emission factors. We've got Peter asking, so what extent do our raw material emission factors, to what extent do we have emission factors on raw materials or chemicals, such as sodium carbonate? And with products like paper, can you talk about how you approach the issue of biogenic emissions / subtractions? Very good questions, guys.
Dom, do you want to have a go at that?
So the methodologies behind each of those factors will be available with the databases that we have initially assimilated from. So I'd recommend checking out the database and sort of looking at those sources individually, which we have credited on there. And in terms of the chemicals, I'm not too sure how large our chemical database is, but if this is something that you're interested in, then we can definitely look at seeing what we can add to the database as well.
Cool. And someone has asked, Christopher has asked, does CaDI link directly to Sustrax MX? Is that a feature at the moment, or is that in the, yeah?
No. Dom, do you know that, or should I answer it?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, no, I believe we have a range of Sustrax tools.
Yeah.
So thanks, Christopher, for highlighting that. So we have Sustrax Lite on our website, which is a free to use carbon calculator for small businesses. And then we have the MX version, and also there's an AX version, which for larger companies, the MX version allows businesses to calculate and track their emissions on a monthly basis. So just for those that don't know what Sustrax is, that's our online carbon calculator platform. Once you've finished doing your calculation, you can there is a button to press to submit your results onto CaDI. So that does make it quite a bit easier for you. So it's kind of all part of the service. Also, the other thing to do is if you're one of our customers and we're doing a sort of consultant-led appraisal for you, so if you've done an appraisal and Liv or Dom has helped you with those, then we're happy to upload your data on your behalf, obviously with your permission before we do that. So to make it as easy as possible for you guys to do it.
Cool. And then, so Benjamin asks, are we able to train an individual within an organization on how to use CaDI? So we're more than happy to have a discussion with you, whether you've assessed your emissions yourselves and would like to get them on CaDI, or whether you'd like us to also verify them and get them on CaDI. Also, we can give you a demonstration of the website. If you contact either myself or Dom, Benjamin, we can arrange a call with you and we can see how CaDI can help you in your company. So yeah, more than happy to help out with that one. Geordie, is it possible to obtain the carbon footprint of a delivery directly from the cost of this delivery, knowing the country and type of transport? Knowing the country and type of transport.
I think that's, yeah. So I think that's around. Obviously, we can work out the carbon emissions of the product in total from this spend analysis that Dom showed you a little bit earlier. In terms of just if you're just looking at the transportation emissions, that could be a feature that we add to CaDI in the future. It sounds like if it's something that you would like to see and would find useful, then certainly we could probably look at that.
Cool. So Gail asked, we are part of a group of companies. The greenhouse gases are calculated for the group by carbon footprint, and you are going on to Sustrax, which is amazing. Can you get your emissions uploaded for the separate companies? Yes, that is something. So if you assess as a whole company, we can put your individual companies on the website so you can sort of track individually and sort of break it down that way, which is a good idea actually. So yeah, that's more than doable. That's fine. Floris, how do you calculate transmission and distribution losses? I'm assuming Welsh tank comes from the DEFRA factors as well.
Oh, well done. That's a good question, actually. Yeah, you're definitely right. Well to tank, DEFRA do produce well to tank factors, so we do use those, and that's how we calculate the well to tank element. The transmission distribution losses is quite a bit harder, actually. But fortunately for us, DEFRA used to produce transmission and distribution loss factors for many countries and regions of the world a few years ago. I can't remember which year they stopped doing it. But we've used the theory that transmission, for those who don't know, transmission and distribution is losses in the electricity grid between the power station and effectively your company or your home. And our theory is that the kind of percentage of loss is relatively consistent from one year to the next. So we've used the transmission and distribution loss percentage, if you like, from the year when DEFRA last published them, and continued using that same percentage loss, which should give you a reasonably accurate view of what the T&D losses are. So that's a little workaround that we had to do. As if we can get better data on the individual countries' grids, and obviously we can update that, and we may do that in the future. But at the moment, I think that's a reasonable estimation and a way of doing it.
So we've got 3 more questions. We'll take these questions, and any others, feel free to contact myself or Dom. We're happy to answer anything. So Pavan asks, which spend-based sources on CaDI are the most widely used for Scope 3 emissions?
Spend-based sources on CaDI. Do you want to say a bit about which are the sources we use, Dom?
Yeah. So in terms of which are most widely used, I'd say certainly for the UK, in terms of our DEFRA factors, people generally use the spend-based factors for their purchase goods and services and capital goods assessments. And then additionally, we also have the Exio-based factors on there as well, which provide, as I mentioned before, the top 44 countries by GDP. So yeah, it's sort of the things which are more difficult to calculate via activity data that are used the most.
And Peter asked, to what extent does CaDI give us access to emission factor databases which are behind paywalls? For example, EcoInvent. Do you republish what they have on their own sites?
Do you want me to pick up that one? The simple answer to that is obviously if it's EcoInvent and it's behind a paywall, we can't just republish that, because obviously that's EcoInvent's data. But what we have done is we've pulled together data from as many sources as we've been able to so far, and we'll keep adding to it so that we're using other sort of publicly available data that you don't need to pay for, and bring it all into one location so you can have access to that. So it becomes an alternative source to data rather than the EcoInvent, which obviously, like you say, you have to pay for. The aim of the CaDI is to bring things together so you have free access to it. Yeah.
And we'll do this final one as we're approaching full time. And then any other questions, so Osama, I will contact you by email and I can respond to any questions you have. So Karen asks, are the units only in metric or does it accommodate non-metric as well? For example, kilometers versus miles, distances and weights.
So yeah, I can take that one. So the majority of the factors that we have are metric. For any additional sort of conversions to imperial units, they can be done with the factors in metric terms. But if you'd like any assistance with calculating anything differently, then please do get in contact with us and we can help translate some of those factors for you in terms of the different units that you might have.
Superb. I think we're there on time, aren't we? So I think just to try and keep it to the half an hour, we have gone a minute over. I'd like to say, thank you to Dom and Liv for showing us around CaDI. I think that's been really, really insightful, brilliant. I think there's lots of good things for everybody to explore there with the free access to the various international emissions databases and emissions factors for products and materials. So go away and explore to your heart's content and see what you think. If you have any more further questions or suggestions, then do feel free to reach out to us. We have a lovely, friendly team of environmental consultants at Carbon Footprint who are here to help, and we're always looking for suggestions of things that you will find useful in the future. So please do let us know if you've got any ideas or things that you'd like to see on CaDI, and we can look at adding those over time. And I think all that leaves me to do is say thank you for your time this morning and wish you a superb weekend.